This officially kicks off the FairTV Commission meeting for June 19th, 2023 at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's actually a special meeting. And on the call tonight are myself, David Kraft, the chairman. Paula, how do I pronounce your last name? I'm just gonna.
Yeah, Kokoza.
Oh, that is much easier than I thought. Paula Kokoza, vice chairman, Will Ferguson, secretary, Jerry Spino, production manager, and Luke Altieri, hopefully soon the production manager. So, Luke, that tells you where our head is at.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You know, I just think even though obviously we have stuff to iron out, we didn't want to miss this opportunity given our once a month meetings to have you not just participate, but really just be ears to what Jerry says and does. And so you have the cadence of this and hopefully it's all going in the right direction. So that's certainly the intent. And I'll start off the meeting, you know, with just the goal of tonight's meeting, really with the most important part of it. And really from my vantage point, aside from, you know, wanting to hear from Jerry on things that have transpired over the last month, but from my vantage point, you know, Jerry leaving us after 12 very helpful and successful years. Jerry, did I get that right, the years?
13, but that works.
13. Hey, who's counting? All right, I screwed you here. Right. All right. Well, in any event, this marks Jerry's last meeting. Again, Luke, hence the nice or hopeful overlap here in terms of continuity. These are my opening remarks. I mean, this has been our sole goal and purpose over the last month is to, you know, try and create as seamless a transition as possible. So that will sort of wrap up my opening 5 minutes, if you will, hopefully in under a couple. At this point, I'll hand it over to Paula.
For my vice chairman report.
Yes.
Yeah, at this moment, I don't have anything to report.
Great. I mean, and Will, how about you as the secretary?
Yeah, for me, I think the most important piece, which I believe, Paula, you were still managing secretarial duties for the May meeting, is that correct?
I think so, but to be
Yeah.
honest with you, I don't remember. It seems like it's so long ago.
I know.
Yeah, so I must have done minutes and submitted them. It feels like it was like 2 years ago. But yes, I think that's right.
Okay. Then I think for the purpose of this meeting, because I know we've had a couple of meetings in between, we had a couple special meetings and smaller venue, meetings. We'll just table the delivery of minutes. I think, like you said, that's already happened. So I don't think it's a necessary line item for today.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering, I obviously did some copying and pasting, here, and my recollection was that what did we do in the last meeting? We approved the previous meeting's minutes?
Yeah, I believe we might have done that at the special meeting I guess it was like towards the end of May.
In theory, though, when you send out minutes, or if Paula said last time, hey, take a look at these minutes, and I say, looks good to me, and then you say, Will, and obviously that role will flip, looks good to me. I would assume then just approving them is just the formality part of it because we've all sort of signed off on them informally.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So why don't I just make a motion then or you can make a motion, or I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 17th meeting.
I'll second that motion. Okay. All in favor?
I think someone else. All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Before we get into Jerry's production manager report, I'm not sure, Luke, if we mentioned this, and I should have actually brought it up in the beginning. there are I mean, the commission, I shouldn't say normally, but the commission is made up of 5 people. As you can see right now, we're at 3. It looks likely, and I think some of this has to do with what transpired at today's RTM meeting.
No, Board of Selectmen meeting, if I may interrupt.
Thank you, Board of Selectmen. So Jerry, do you know in that meeting that was today at 4 if they approved the?
Yes, they did. It'll go on,
Okay.
they did, and it'll go on to the RTM tomorrow evening. And
Thank
it's
you.
more than likely that you'll have your 2
Right.
commissioners by Wednesday.
So there you go. That will give us 5, which is, the optimal number. And it's really important because right now we're at a point where if Paula, Will, or I could not be on this call, then we don't have a quorum and can't technically approve anything. And I think obviously when we have 5, that will loosen the reins a little bit. But the goal is once a month for everybody to just participate with very limited exceptions. Otherwise, it's not an effective committee. All right. Well, with that said, I just want you to know that that's why there's 3 of us. But as of tomorrow night or Wednesday, there should hopefully be 5 committees made up of 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and one not independent, but undeclared, if you will.
Gotcha.
And that has to be the way the committee is. But if people drop out, can't control the committee, business goes on, and it just, you just keep going. But it looks like we'll have another 2 people to join us and fill out our ranks. So with that said, let's, Jerry, turning it over to you for your report.
Okay. I see on, your agenda, I was hoping that today would be, consideration of approval of Mr. Bordelot's rate increase.
Yes, and that is within the realm.
Session?
Sorry?
Would that be in your executive session?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry I didn't spell that out. We will definitely.
No, that's okay. I'm just, I've got a few items here that sort of relate to the agenda. I just wanted to.
Yes.
Didn't want to repeat anything, but I didn't. It's been pending, and Anyway, and I see that the archival project, titling project is up. Paxton McLean is acting as production coordinator at the moment. So, that's what's happening at the moment. There was some discussion at a meeting that took place with Mr. Bremer and Mr. Ferguson and myself. And this is something that has happened in the past. And that's in regard to writing, to paying the freelancers. What we do is we create purchase orders for each freelancer that covers about 6 months. And that basically, you guys, in the last round of invoices and vendor details, you approved, you signed off on purchase orders that will be put into effect as of July 1 and carry out to the end of the year, December. And that basically authorizes payment of monies to each freelancer. So you, in a way, pre-approved their fee, their salary, their monthly invoices until that money runs out. The suggestion is that the production manager and Mr. David Kelly, who is the IT director, and he is also basically our record-keeping steward. He takes the information that I give him, or the manager would give him, in regards to payouts, and he enters it in the town's Munis system. Munis is the town's, for lack of a better term, accounting structure. And all the towns in the state use it. It's a standardized system. And we can't do that ourselves. It has to, by town regulation, it has to be handled by a department, and we're married up to the IT department. So that would basically take the step out of sending you guys the invoices and the vendor details. Not that you wouldn't get sent the information to have, but you wouldn't necessarily have to sign off on it, and it would help expedite payment within, a 7-day period. Because what would happen is you get the production manager would get the invoices. We still have to create the vendor details because we do have to show authorization. And the production manager and the IT director would sign off on them. And then the production manager would quarterly send out a spreadsheet that shows the gross amount on each purchase order per freelancer, and then the deduction going forward for each month. And if you guys, if that sounds okay to you, it could actually be put into play this month. While we end up the month, we still have purchase orders for the various freelancers, and it would take that step out and expedite it as we are approaching the end of the month. And so that's how that works. If I made that clear or not, if anybody has any questions about that.
I think just to be clear, that's no change from what we agreed upon with Tom in the previous meeting, right? I feel like we came to a good resolution at the end of that meeting of.
Well, we talked about it, but I didn't know whether or not you wanted to proceed that way. That's I guess what I'm inquiring about.
Yeah, I think we had come to agreement that we would cut out the extra step and that we would move forward with all purchase orders, vendor costs, et cetera, would be submitted in one format at one time at the end of the month with enough lead time for the commission to review, approve, and send back without interrupting the kind of cadence of approval that takes place with town employees. So as long as that's still the intent, I think we have I can't imagine the commission would have any issue with that.
Maybe I'm not understanding what you said. There would be, you guys would get sent the information monthly, of course, to the record, but the approval doesn't necessarily, you've already approved the funds in the purchase order. So monthly withdrawals from each purchase order would be done kind of within the town, a town hall, let's put it that way. Wouldn't necessarily be sending it to you for approval, just to manage and to check and make sure nobody, it isn't overdrawn or whatever. But Mr. Kelly, of course, would do that as well. But your approval wouldn't be necessary until the next round of purchase orders, which would be in January. You would get sent quarterly reviews, spreadsheets, but the POs would just be drawn on, and the only actual signatures on the vendor detail would be the production manager and Mr. Kelly's.
I'm a little confused about
you can do whatever
amount.
way you want, but I'm just making.
Well, I'm just asking a question. Like, if we pre-approve stuff, we can't. How are we pre-approving the amounts that they're invoicing?
Well, you've already pre-approved the gross amount on the purchase order that was cut, that was approved in this last round of purchase order and payment process. Excuse me. So all we're doing is deducting all you're doing, all the production manager is deducting from each individual's purchase order monthly until it's used up and has to be replenished.
So is the idea we're moving this to PO
instead of? You'd have to.
But what if someone doesn't? What if someone doesn't work? What if someone gets sick?
Then they don't get paid. They don't get paid. They don't work. They only get paid for work.
But then that requires an approval process.
Yeah, the approval process would be, because you've already approved a purchase order. Let's say Luke. If Luke takes the job, he'll get a purchase order that's cut for his annual salary, the whole amount, and then monthly he would draw on that. Okay, but you've approved his salary in total. So
yeah, that's what a contract is for.
Month to month.
Okay.
He gets paid out of that purchase order, you don't necessarily need to approve his monthly pay unless he takes more.
Hey, Jerry, just in the interest of time, what is you're just asking us, to this as a suggestion, and obviously when we, are ready to take this up, which could be as soon as tonight, as late as whenever, but the process that we have in place will remain.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you get the idea that we can move along, I just wanted to present it. It's something that saves some time. It's easily managed, and that's all.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll we'll move that forward in an orderly manner and take it up as we see fit, but I don't want to do that tonight, given the.
Okay, well, invoices will be made, that will be asked for at the beginning of next week, to be in, I'll reach out to all the freelancers to send in their invoices. So I would like to have them by Friday, and or actually they won't really come. The last production date is the 27th, so they'll be in by the 27th, and then they got to go to you, and then they got to come back, and then they won't get paid until the new fiscal year, which can be awkward. But that's
how we've been doing it, right? That's how we've been doing it, and I think, in the interest of.
However, all right.
Right.
And that,
they would go to Will, just to be clear, right? I mean, we worked hard just to set that up. So, okay. All right. So yeah, this is a good thing to know, and we'll take it up. I just don't want to use this meeting to, when we have the, such a bigger.
I was just trying to
parcel business. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Because it was discussed previously, I thought, well, it might help for the end of the year. But it's your game, and you can, make it work how you like, whatever's comfortable. The Zoom room installations have been put in the town hall and the old town hall. They haven't programmed them yet. They don't know how to make them work necessarily. They're waiting for One Diversified to come in and get going, but they're in process, but I don't see anything happening with them at least until August. That's just my observation.
Not to like jump a critical step here, but for purposes of ease, Luke, do you know David Kelly?
No, I don't. I know,
okay.
I know of him, but I've never actually met with him.
Okay. Jerry, would you be kind enough to send a note either, after tonight's call or in the next 2 days to David, and you can just copy me on this, and just say, just alerting David Kraft of the status as I did during the meeting, because ultimately I want to link what I hope is Luke and David Kelly together. And so a brief note would be greatly helpful.
In regards to?
Just say, what you briefed us on the status of where the rooms are, and,
well, David's the one who told me this, so,
Okay. All right. I'll dig up his email.
That's who I would go to,
okay.
As far as town.
That's fine.
It
was more of a handoff, to be honest, but that's fine. I'll just reach out to him.
Yeah, no, I'll reach out to him and let him know. I don't want to presume anything at the moment, but
no, it wasn't. That's why I don't even want Luke to be involved. And I was just curious if you knew him, but it just having a note to this effect sort of expedites the process. But whatever. This is just a technicality. If you want to send him a note saying you've updated us, great. If not, no worries.
No, he knows that, because that's why I asked him, and he knows that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm in the building, and you see what's happening or not happening.
Okay.
The training session, well, I mean, it sounds like it's getting close to you've got a possible person there. I'd like to see that happen. I mean, in the sense of not me personally, but there is a time frame. The equipment was recently purchased. It had to be registered. There's a time frame between the time you register it and the time you start using it, if you find any bugs or whatever. And I would also recommend that, and there is money, that aside from the training session, that you invest in the what New Tech calls the ProTech program. And I believe it's $800, and it's highly worth it. If something happens, no one can go in and fix these machines. They have to go back. And they will send you either a new machine if your problem's really bad, or they will fix it and loan you one depending on how long it takes to get it fixed. So it's a good program to be in. And this 410 that we purchased, it's a New Tech 410 Plus. It does all the things it needs to do for HD and SDI. Has a lot of other little elements in it that come with, you know, a lot of the New Tech systems, the virtual backgrounds, all kinds of character generating information, tools, lots of different things, audio input that doesn't necessarily exist on our older machines. You know, it does a lot of things, and it will work with our Mini, our TriCaster Mini, which is over at the Board of Ed at the moment. But right now we're running basically two much older machines, relying on them at Town Hall. But to have these two newer machines in line for the virtual structure as well would be advantageous. So that's the deal with that. And
So is this,
also,
is this equipment, I wasn't clear, is this equipment that's part of the new installation?
No, it has nothing to do with the Zoom room. The Zoom room is the town's business. And FairTV did not put any money into it. This equipment is the equipment that you would use, you know, to broadcast and, you know, the Zoom rooms with, or you could set up a studio as well, run cameras on them or whatever. They're video production machines, basically. And FairTV has used New Tech since we got started. It's reliable equipment. And we purchased the 410 as to have, I just as a point of information, I purchase equipment in advance of need, because when we need it, is when you usually don't have the money to get it. And so you got to be careful and when you bring it into service, so that you maintain the warranties and whatnot. And that's what that's what this item here that we're talking about is. And also the producers, although I've trained them to operate the machines for our purpose, have never really had any training on the New Tech Mini or the 410, which is a similar machine, same software, but they've never had any training. So some training will also help their skills and expand what we can do with the systems. Like I said, you could use them as we do with the virtual format, or they can, you can run cameras. They also have NDI formats, which you can control cameras from that machine, so on and so forth.
Luke, just out of
Lastly,
curiosity, Luke, hold it, Jerry, 1 second.
Yep.
Do you have any familiarity with this? And don't worry, it's not a trick question.
Not that exact. I do know like OBS, which is a similar software, but not TriCaster. I mean, I've seen it, and I've watched it, but I've never actually physically worked on it.
All good.
I'm sorry, I have a question. So Jerry, who provides this training on the New Tech Mini and the 410? Who?
Well, the vendor is going to supply this initial training, but there are also tutorials that New Tech puts out. New Tech does have a training program for $3,500, which is far more extensive, but at $25 an hour, my vendor can provide an instructor to give you a certain amount of time to develop necessary skills related to FairTV and probably a little more. Operating a TriCaster is not that difficult. And where you need information, it actually is with the NDI formats, which is basically, we could plug the cameras in Chicago, give them an IP, and from Town Hall, run them with this equipment. No cabling, no nothing. You just come in on the internet and control the cameras, and you get the signal back as well. So, you know, this would allow us, you know, allows that capability, or even in the room. I mean, you know, it doesn't really matter. We do have a couple of PZT controllers that we've been using that are very effective, and we use them locally with IP addresses, but not over the internet. So, you know, there's a lot to be learned from this program. If the production manager wanted to do more and take more training, like I said, New Tech puts out regular tutorials on their equipment.
Okay.
Little bits.
And
you know,
David,
2 minute.
Jerry, sorry, David can facilitate this. David Kelly.
No, this is not David Kelly's thing. This is a FairTV thing. David Kelly.
I know that, but who would be our point? Who would be our point of reference to schedule these trainings?
The production manager would arrange this.
Right, but if in 3 days this hasn't been arranged, what I'm asking is, will you send us over a point of contact then?
Yeah, I have all these notes on my desktop for whoever walks in the door to respond to. If they wanted to take this course, they would contact Matt Drabeck at Digitech, which is where we purchase the hardware. He's the one who will be setting up the training program, and it's all through FairTV. Mr. Kelly has nothing to do other than.
I understand.
So Jerry, I think what we need
understand.
is in the manager's report. I think we need those details, like just for this last manager's report. You know, the 6 or 7 outstanding items. To David's point, like if we don't get to them tonight, let's say for approval, or in the next 72 hours, I think who is the point of contact both internally, if there is someone in the town of Fairfield or FairTV, and then externally, like for a vendor, so on and so forth. Who is the right person? What's the last communication? Just so that we can.
Well, I mean, I could certainly send you all this information, but it's usually the production manager would be the person to arrange this. Once you approve the expenditure, and he would contact Mr. Drabeck, and that's the process.
Right, but right. I think the commissioners are saying though, Jerry, is that we need Matt Drabeck's information, his contact information, phone number, email, name of his company, that kind of thing.
I can send it all to you. You want to know how to reach Matt Drabeck, okay?
Right, because he's the person that would run these trainings, because he's the vendor, right?
Well, he's the vendor. He has an instructor that he utilizes.
Yeah, simply put, we're just assuming that we won't have somebody in place by this Friday. If we do, fantastic. If not, then we have all this information anyway, which is good for us to have. So appreciate you sending that along. Anything else?
Just that you got to deal with the grant by the July 15th. And if you do get a new production manager who is tech savvy about our broadcast rack, they may want to take a look at it. The grant is mostly geared towards buying backup hardware for the rack. It's not like the rack needs to be rebuilt or anything, but our hardware, because we have to deal with SD and that's format. The converters and elements that we use for SD to get it into our broadcast server and out to our cable partners, not to our web stream, but to our cable partners, that hardware is evolving away. Everything's HD. So we have to kind of look for hardware that's out there, and I found it. It's not like too esoteric, Black Magic, etc. But we have to get it so that we can maintain the system. And but there may be something that people know more than I. I'm not Mr. Wizard here, but the new manager, if they have that kind of capability, and I'm not saying that they have to, the rack was initially installed and designed by what's now called One Diversified, which used to be HB Communications. And, it runs well, but we do need backup hardware in case we have a failure through the flow. So if there's in the configuration, we have schematics. And in the configuration, if somebody sees, well, maybe we can do this and get a little better of that, and, that's up to them and how they see to possibly engineer it. But at the moment, I've set up the Cable Advisory Council grant to buy backup hardware for all the converters and encoders and decoders that are in the system. There's only 2 items that necessarily have to be purchased specifically from a vendor, and that's the decoders for our web stream at Discover Video. And they're Scorpion devices of their design, I believe. And they work with their stream. We maintain the web stream because, it'll come in handy if you're going to do this thing at the courthouse, and whether or not there's somewhere to plug into the internet, I don't know. But if you are going to stream it, you can stream it through them uninterrupted, with an engineer at their facility maintaining signal continuity and all that sort of thing, as opposed to trying to put it out on YouTube,
Right.
And that's
was that the last item?
Yeah, that is my last item.
Okay, great. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to be sensitive to the time here.
Yeah.
Everybody's time. So that's a great report. Thank you. I'd like to move to new business, and obviously just talk for a moment, and we have to kind of deal in hypotheticals, but we're all adults here, and I think we're all aiming toward the same thing. So Jerry, just so we're super clear, your last day is when?
My last day is Tuesday the 27th. I'm going to go over to Ward High School. I'm going to set up with Jeff and Paxton a 2-camera setup to cover a town hall and a Board of Ed meeting. And I'm going to be leaving around, once the meeting gets started, I have to get ready about the 28th to start. I got to finish packing. The truck is here on the 29th, and I will be leaving Fairfield on the 29th.
Wow.
So
All
I
right.
will not be at that meeting in its entirety, but Paxton and Jeff will run it, and they'll get the gear back home. And
So why don't you just take us through really briefly here? Paxton and Jeff what is the division of labor as far as Paxton goes, and certain aspects of your role? Is he just temporarily corralling invoices, or what is he doing that's different?
Meaning other than what he does?
Yeah.
Yes, as a matter of fact. Well, no, the producers basically come to the job, set it up, cover it, report it, record it, send it out on the broadcast, and then prepare a file from that production that is brought back to our offices, and that's put out into the post-broadcast structure, web stream, and the broadcast server.
Right, so is Paxton taking over? Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
What I've asked Paxton to help do, and he's willing to do, is he's going to be, he was preparing to handle the invoices in whatever fashion is desired. He's also handling all the post-production, which is what I would do necessarily after an evening. I usually pick up if the shoot is over at the Board of Ed, they leave the file on a drive at the front desk at the district office. I pick it up at 7:30. I bring it back to town hall. I process it. I get it on the air and onto the stream and into the VOD and create whatever necessary post-production lists are needed as far as our FairTV page on the town website, and also the weekly.
So Paxton is doing Paxton's doing all of this stuff after your departure. Is there an agreement in place? Like, what do we know this is temporary. Like, how does this work as far as his?
We don't have a contract, but he is filling in some administrative duties. He's not taking on any technical, troubleshooting or anything like that.
Okay.
But he is handling most of the administrative duties, scheduling the broadcast. We do have a freelance schedule that I created out to September. So in case something comes up extra, he'll, find somebody, that sort of thing.
Okay, so he's doing everything but the technical part. Do you have a financial arrangement with him? And if so, is it something,
He gets paid his rate.
Right. So which is hourly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So his rate is going to increase as he takes on more hours.
Well, his rate won't increase, his pay will. His rate's $25 an hour.
That's what I meant. His number of hours will increase. Okay.
He'll pick up some hours. Yep.
Okay.
Which, is good because summer's very slow and it helps them out, both of them out, really, if they can get extra hours.
No, this is all part of the transition here. Okay.
We have contact information for Paxton commissioners. I don't
have contact info for anyone.
I believe I sent it out in my manager's report. It's right on there, item number 2 or 3.
Excellent. Thank you, Jerry.
Wait, hold on 1 second. Paula,
I can try to pull it up.
I just want to make sure someone before we get off this call has it, because I did not see it.
Got it.
Okay, thank you.
Got it. I'll send it out.
Will has it? Okay, perfect.
It's not just Paxton's, it's everybody's, right?
Yeah, I have, I can send you the contact sheet. I thought I might have previously, but I can do it again if not.
No, it sounds like we have it. My bad.
No worries. And I've set up, like I said, on my desktop, I've got a folder. It's called Transition. It has the grant information. It has all the contact information. It has various other types of petty cash. Oh, by the way, and not to digress, I do have to take care of the petty cash. I've got it fairly well filled out. What it is we maintain $300 petty cash in the office for small purchases when needed. And if Will is still handling that, I would probably put together something tomorrow and send it to him so that we can get that signed off on and maybe get the petty cash taken care of with this year's money, taking it into next year.
So Jerry, that transition folder, just to go back a step, will be sent to us.
Well, no, it's on my desktop at the office. It's fairly entailed. There's a lot of information there.
Okay, do we have access to your desktop?
Specific information, I can send you specific information, but it's not like some sort of pyramid of things to do or whatever. It's just basic information about different things.
Right, but it's none of us have seen your forgive me for saying this. None of us have seen your desktop in the office.
No, and I understand that, but it's the manager's desktop. I've never really been asked to do that, but it's fine if that's what you would like.
Well, so Jerry, I think just for continuity, I think the challenge, like obviously we have Luke on. I think the commissioner made it David made it very clear that we're bullish and we want to make things going, but there's always opportunities for things to not work out, right? And so I think our concern is that in 10 days you're out of Fairfield altogether, and so all this information on a desktop is great, but there's no one filling that chair. So I guess
if someone wants to come over,
let me make my request first before we understand.
Yeah, no. There you go.
So what I think what we're trying to ask is all the key. I understand we don't need everything on the desktop, but the key necessary information for a transition, knowing that this hasn't been asked before because you have never transitioned out of this role before. So just like key things like contact information in its exhaustive state for all of the current freelancers, external partners that you're having conversations with for grants, for trainings, et cetera, like all of those pieces and that match what's in the manager's report of ongoing items. That's what we would need to act, in our best, with Paxton, with a replacement, whomever, to keep the train moving forward in your absence. So I think that's all we're asking for, is if that could be packaged up and sent to us as a group.
Well,
that's
what
all
I'd
that we
like
need.
to ask, and I don't know how difficult this is, but I could prepare a folder. Now, I don't know, how big or small it'll be, but I would ask that maybe if someone could come by, I could put it on a drive and they can walk away with it. That way it'll get in your hands. And, also, you should, I know that it's hard, but you really might want to have a meeting in person, where information like this could be handed to you. But I will put together, as you just stated, I will put together a list of the freelancers' contact information. You actually, on the invoice that I sent you in regard to the training, you have all of Mr. Dreback's information, but I will put it in a separate line, and I will provide you with, there's no other ongoing conversations other than the grant as far as business and Mr. Dreback. So those would be the two items I guess you would be wanting.
Yeah, we just want to make sure we have everybody's contact info. The whole purpose here is we're trying not to bother you once you leave Fairfield, and that's the goal.
That's cool, and I understand that, and I'll be busy. But I just want to know what you want. I can send you tons of information, but whether it's germane to your needs, in a sense, But like I said, as you've asked for the contact information for all the freelancers, information on Mr. Dreback in regards to the training, and I just sent you the Cable Advisory Council grant. All that has to happen there is either you sign off on it, or your new manager takes a look at the rack and says, yeah, we don't need to do anything, get this equipment for backup. And that's about it as far as ongoing business. If there's something more, I'd be happy to say it.
Actually, Luke, sorry, Luke is on video here and raised his hand. What's up?
Yeah, I just had an idea. If he has a folder with all the transition files, documents, and information, if he could just throw that into a Google Drive and then share it with everybody, that would be easiest to just, instead of having someone go down there and transfer it all over, just upload it to Google Drive and share it across. Everyone has access, and we won't have to worry about trying to transfer anything.
Yep, that can be done. Yep, you got it. But I want to give you the specific information that you need. You don't need any side information that's not necessarily germane to what you need to know now.
I feel like if you just kind of give us all you got, and then we can sift through what would be essential and what we don't really need. Better have more information than not enough,
Yep. Okay. There you go.
Awesome. All right. Jerry, just where do we stand with this archival project? Have you started it?
I spoke to the producer. Well, look, here's the deal. You can do whatever you want. We did do a test about changing the date format as well as, moving it around to a different position. And it works. All the static, we have two, as I mentioned before, we have two static lists, archival lists. One is maintained by the town, and that's the one that Jeff maintains. And that's on the town website under meeting recordings. And then we have another static list that is generated solely from the video on demand sites of FairTV, that's on the FairTV page under broadcast schedule. And then under what's new on FairTV, you'll see the most recent meetings loaded up to VOD. And then to the right on that header is an archive that you can open up, and content goes all the way back to 2019 on that list. Jeff's list only goes back to, I think, 2021. And then, of course, there's the YouTube lists that are, those are more like active search engines, where the town web pages lists are static in that you see the meeting listed, and then you go over and click on the link. Whereas with YouTube, you either go in and you look for it in a playlist or just search it and you find it. But that's more of an active kind of list search than a static search. But that's what it is. And the changing the titling on, at least for the tests that we made, did not interfere with the list, the static list. We could click on the link and the item would still open regardless of how it was labeled. So that's in play. I spoke to the two producers. They're willing to go forward on the project for $20 an hour, so it's a toss-up. And they would appreciate the income for the summer because, like I said, it is slower. But that's up to you guys who you choose to have do the job. And that's basically where we stand. They could start now, but I don't know if they'll finish by the end of the fiscal year, which is less than a couple weeks away. So, you can either start it now and use it on this current budget, or you could, some of it, depending on how far along they get, or you could wait and start it on July 1 as part of the pending budget. And there is money in the pending budget for a project like this. It's just not dedicated. And if we do it now, I mean, you do have to kind of approve the project so that we can dedicate the money. Every time we spend money for different things, other than, let's say, basic production or whatever, it has to be kind of dedicated by, paperwork, so that people know that, where the money is being used. And that's basically that. And it is
Hey, Jerry, just so sorry,
Yeah.
and understood on the budgeting, and I think we've
Yeah,
got the handle. So I just want to make sure I understood, because I want to get back to the root, not just the action, but the root cause of this. Does the titling editing fix the problem that the first selectman was asking about? And I'm hoping that's a fairly simple yes or no. So will the titling project is that going to fix the searchability issue that the first selectwoman
in all deference
asked
to
about?
the first selectwoman, who I very much like and whatnot, I mean, I have never gotten an email that said I can't find something on YouTube, me personally. And I've been at this now a number of years. Now, if somebody wants to send something to the first selectwoman, great, but let me know.
Okay. So Jerry,
But
I'm going to ask again.
So I don't know if it's a problem, Will. I just don't. I think people search in many different ways. You
It is
can
a
find
problem.
a meeting.
It is a
All right,
problem.
then there you go. It's a problem, then you're going to fix it. So
that's my question. Though, hold on. Cart before horses here. So if there's a disagreement about the source of the problem, I'm worried that the project that we're about to approve people's time and our budget for isn't going to be spent in the earnest of actually fixing the problem, right? I'm nervous now that we're about to approve or potentially approve a project to retitle things without actually understanding, does the retitling solve the root problem that is causing us to evaluate the project? So I think,
I guess
Dave,
you have to.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I guess what you have to do is figure out what the root problem is, because I've never been given a specific.
Okay.
The only thing I've been given is to put the title, the date in front of the title. That's it.
Well, that was the suggestion following up on the alert from the first selectwoman that people are having issues. So I don't know, David, Paula, I think maybe this is something where this line item, let's table this, and then maybe let's make some contact with the first selectwoman, get a better understanding from her exactly what she's hoping for us to accomplish, and then we can work with either new production manager or Paxton in the absence to figure out what are the actual solutions to this problem, because I'm worried that this is spun out of control.
Well, the only thing I got to say in regard to that is I think you should do a broader inquiry beyond the first selectman. Like Paula, you're saying it's a problem. How is it a problem for you?
So I got an email a couple months ago from an RTM member, Christine Brown, saying she was searching for a Board of Ed meeting from some time back, and on the YouTube channel, she could not find it. And so I
How
ended
did
up
she
going
search?
I don't know.
How did she search
Okay.
it? Yeah,
So
that's
Jerry,
what we need to know.
well,
I mean,
Jerry,
I'm not saying
point
that we
taken.
had-
Jerry, great point taken. We're going to dive into all this, but we're not going to approve anything until we have a broader consensus on what's going on.
Good idea, good idea. But I do think that you need, as we've been discussing, is you need a broader perspective than I can't find it. Well, how come you can't find it?
Yep.
Roger. Yeah, we're tracking. So I think
Got
we can probably move on from this one. Yeah.
So just to be clear, then nothing's been approved because we have not approved it, right? I'm sort of asking
No, nobody's
a
doing
rhetorical
anything.
question.
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody's
Great.
doing anything.
Okay. Jerry, have you heard anything before we go into executive session on the status for the coverage of the Phil Powell trial?
No, but I did, as I mentioned earlier, I did speak with our web stream provider, and if you can get an internet connection inside of a courtroom that the judge will allow, we could patch in a single camera and use a HDMI video converter, run it through the laptop, and send it out to our web stream, and they will run it. It will preempt our regular broadcast of content, but that's what they do, and it doesn't cost anything. And as I said, the beauty of it is they have engineers on site that you can actually talk to if there's a problem, and they'll maintain it so that there isn't one. So you just enter their URL that they give you. They'll give you a specific URL, and you go in like you would on YouTube. But problem, it's not YouTube, and that you might get interrupted or commercials or whatever, because we don't really do anything on YouTube streaming wise, and we don't have that kind of account where we can get an uninterrupted stream for 5 hours or whatever it is.
Okay. All right. Luke, while Jerry's on the phone, look, we don't want to put you in an awkward position here, but is there anything fundamental that he's gone over tonight that, like we talked about what his upload will include, the vendor name, the grant information, obviously everybody's emails and cell phone numbers who's currently employed.
Yeah.
Jerry, I have your email about the web stream.
Yeah, that folder would be huge, to have that and kind of get kind of a good baseline on everything. The only other question I have, you touched on a little bit, was that Zoom room. I know, at least from my contacts at Fairfield Public Schools, that they might not be compatible with the current setup and the TriCaster, like the equipment. So I don't know if you.
No, we're not tying into there. We pick up the Zoom from the feed, a laptop feed, and we run it through the TriCaster. We don't.
So I talked to my connection, and he said that we might even be able to just use the device that is already set up and just maybe put on the TriCaster software on that device, because it is going to be a powerful device, able to handle all that, and just kind of bypass the need for all this extra equipment.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but the Zoom room thing is the town's business. It is not FairTV's business. FairTV provides hosts and broadcasts these Zoom meetings through our system, but they don't really own our equipment. I was terribly surprised when I went to the first floor meeting room in Town Hall, and they had scavenged a $28,000 PA that FairTV paid for and took out the amplifier to run their speakers on. They've charged the town $500,000 to do this work, not FairTV. And FairTV did not agree at any point to say, yeah, you can scavenge our amps and our equipment. No, we never said that. But they did. And okay, fine. You know, what do I do there? Who do I yell at? Who do I talk to? But the thing is that the Zoom system is the town's decision to create an environment for their meetings. FairTV as a service, which is what it is to the town. It's not necessarily the town's service. We provide it to them, and they help support us. But I would not recommend giving them an $8,000 mini so that they can jam it in.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I was saying, I know, at least for the Board of Ed, that there is going to be a machine that's bought for the Zoom room.
No, that's true. Yeah.
So that's what I was saying. If there was not a need for a new device from our end, we could just use that device that's already hooked up, already tied in. We wouldn't need to add any additional hardware. It would just be pure software and then stream off of that.
Well, we don't even need to do that, Luke. Really, what we do is we take the Zoom or the WebEx event that you see on your laptop, we HDMI out of the laptop into the TriCaster or the Mini. That's where we get our image and audio from. And then we lay up our lower thirds and other information that we provide through the course of the meeting. We then take the file and broadcast that and put it on our VOD sites. That's how we do it. And we will no longer need to be in the BOE room other than the virtual host who will run the meeting, the Zoom part of the meeting, the virtual part of the meeting. But as far as picking up the transmission of the Zoom room, we do that at a centralized location in Town Hall, which I've called the Capture Studio. And we capture it there, and then we put it up, and that's all we need to do. I mean, that is what we need. That is what it is.
Gotcha.
I mean,
I just wanted to make sure that I just wanted to make sure that you confirm that. I just wanted to make sure that you confirm that with them, that it would work like that, because I heard something a little bit different. But if you know something else, then
hey fellas, I'm gonna hop in for a second. So I think we're getting down a pretty technical road here, and I know that there's a few urgent things that the commission has been asked to consider and vote on, and so on and so forth. I think we're starting to talk about HDMI plugs and those types of things, which are great and important, and I think it'll be crucial for the transition. But I want to make sure we're making the most of the time here. We're already, over the hopeful time of the meeting. I just want to put a plug in it if we can. Yeah.
All right. There you go, then.
Well, yeah, I mean, Luke, we really appreciate you spending time here tonight, and especially, look, I mean, obviously, we just spoke to you. We're trying to move things along, but we didn't want to lose this opportunity for you to literally hear some of the things, that go on, with this being Jerry's last meeting. So what I'm going to do is make a motion to move on to the executive summary of the meeting, so we can make progress on of your situation and whatnot. And then, there will be time still in the next 5 days or until Jerry's departure to, tie up some loose ends. As you mentioned, it's just critical that, Jerry, obviously this folder we referenced, if you can get that out to us sooner than later, then if we have any questions from the folder, we can ask you. You could just share it with me and, Walt and Paula, and just go from there.
Okay, I'll second the motion to adjourn and enter into executive session.
Am I part of this executive session, or am I excused?
You're excused, Jerry. We're obviously grateful for everything you've contributed, and we'll be talking more over the next you know, a few days before you depart.
Okie doke. You got it. Thank you, gentlemen and lady.
All right.
And,
Thanks very much.
thanks to you.